Good morning, everybody, for the second time, and welcome to Get on the Bus, join the online social library community. This is our second week and our first real week of programming. This week we're going to talk about wikis with Katie Jones from the Wyoming State Library. But before we get to that, a couple things I want to remind you of is obviously if we get more technical issues today, the archive will be available this afternoon, so please join that and watch that. If you would like PTSB credit, please contact me here at the State Library, and you can find my contact information under the Introduction tab on the Get on the Bus website, and that is getonthebuswyoming.wordpress.com. This week we will be giving out prizes. We'll be giving gift certificates to Amazon.com and to iTunes. If you do your homework by February 20th, you'll be entered to win those. If you don't want to do your homework this week, or heck, you joined the program late, that's okay too. We will be giving away grand prizes, and if you have all of your homework in for the whole program by March 31st, you can win registration at the 2009 Wyoming Library Association Annual Conference in Laramie, and you can also win an iPod Touch. The more people who participate in this program, the more prizes I'm going to give. So go ahead and ask your friends at the moment. Well, I don't know, we have some money for prizes, and I know I can find more with the more participation. The other thing is, last week we had a little problem with our email address, so if you have any questions about this program or wikis this week, feel free to email getonthebus.will.state.wy.us, and that number is on the bottom of every page on our website, and the appropriate person will get back to you. Last week, unfortunately, anybody who tried to email us, it didn't go through, and I apologize for that. I'm going to put you on conference mode here, and hopefully that means we won't be able to hear anybody else, but you never really know. And so I may have to put us in conference mode a couple more times throughout the conference call. And Katie Jones will be taking questions at the end. Okay, thank you, everybody.
All conference participants are now muted. To unmute your participants, press 9-9.
Hi everybody, this is again Katie Jones at the Wyoming State Library. I'm the Electronic Services Librarian there, and I am going to go over quickly what wikis are today and how you can use them in your libraries. Oh, there's my note. We don't need that, do we? The learning outcomes that I have are understand the way wikis work. I'm going to start with that. I will also identify some uses that you can use in your library for wikis. We'll go over some of the some of the wiki software out there, some of the tools you can use. There are several different options for using wikis, and of course then we'll have determining the best practices. We'll spend a short time on that, and I will also show you quickly how to edit just a wiki just using one of the wikis that I've created. This is all going to go pretty fast, so I want you to know that there is a website that I've created as a companion website to Get on the Bus Wyoming, and that is at getonthebuswyoming.pbwiki.com. You have a link from the Get on the Bus WordPress site as well. When you go to the wikis page, if you click on this link, it will take you to the companion wiki. This is where I have an introduction that goes over in more depth how wikis work, and also talks a little bit about how libraries can use wikis. It will touch on different wiki options for software and a little bit on best practices for implementing a wiki. The resources section of this wiki will give you a lot of information through articles and online presentations and videos that people have written and done when they've created wikis for their own website, for their own library projects. The wikis link will take you to those wikis that a lot of libraries have already developed, and you can look at them as examples. And then there is the homework section telling you which homework you can do. There's a couple of optional homework possibilities there, and I'll go over that later when we get towards the end of this presentation. Going back, a wiki is pretty easy to understand. It's basically just a website. Think of it as a website that you can allow anyone, or you can allow only specific people, to add information, remove information, change information. Whatever it is that you have on that wiki, you can control it, or you can go onto someone else's wiki, and if they've allowed it, you can edit, add, remove information. The biggest example that most people think of when they think of wiki is the Wikipedia, and that is an example that shows letting anyone at all have content, have the option to go in and add information, change information. There are a lot of controversies out there about Wikipedia, and I'm not going to go into that today. But what I do want to do is also quickly show you a video that is kind of a commercial. I just saw it last week, and it's talking about Jimmy Wales, who created Wikipedia. What I want you to do when you listen to this video, the video itself may or may not come through on your screens very well. Yugma doesn't transfer it completely second by second. But I want you to listen to the words, and when Jimmy Wales is talking, try to substitute what he's saying about Wikipedia as a specific example for just the concept of wikis in general.
And now one of the winners of USA's Character Approved Award.
Jimmy Wales, founder of Wikipedia. Access to knowledge is a fundamental human right. Wikipedia has really changed the filter on information from, well, let's just say it, old white men to the interests of everybody. Imagine a world in which every single person on the planet is given free access to the sum of all human knowledge. I want Wikipedia to be a sledgehammer to break down the barriers of censorship, of ignorance, of apathy about the state of the world.
Jimmy Wales is Character Approved. USA, characters welcome.
So, from what Jimmy Wales was saying in that commercial, wikis can be an opportunity for us to put out as much information and content as we want for any user. And we can allow those users, our patrons, to help us to create the wiki. We can use, if we just want to do a wiki for ourselves, we can anyone in your library can be allowed to potentially go in and edit a wiki or create content. It doesn't have to be restricted to just one webmaster who is the only one who knows how to use HTML and CSS and Java. Most anyone can go in and edit a wiki or create a wiki. I'm going to go into this wiki. This is an example of a wiki created in PBWiki, a popular hosted software, and this is one that was created for the Wyoming Library Association. You can see it shows that Wyoming Library Association 2008 conference is what the information on there now, and I've already logged in, so you can see me up here logged in to be able to edit the wiki. I can go in and I can easily just change that to 2009 conference. I can't remember the dates off the top of my head, but I can put in that it's Laramie, Wyoming, and there will be a different line for that. If I want to, I can, this is a little gadget that was input, and I'll probably have to delete that and re-enter it so that it's new. And I'm not sure how to do that right now, but I'd have, if I played around with it for just a little bit, I would. I promise you, this is not hard stuff. So I changed it to 2009 conference. I changed where it was going to be, and then I just click save. And now the wiki shows 2009 conference. Just as another quick thing to show you about this particular wiki and PBWiki, this morning I created a page to use for a Crossroads task force that Wyoming Library Association is currently doing, and I used a template called a project template that I can go in and fill in now for my committee, the committee that is going to work on a specific aspect of this Crossroads task force. I didn't have to come up with this template. PB Wiki already had it there, and I just can erase what's there and fill in what I want to. Easy as clicking the edit button and typing in what I want. And then I can save. I'm showing you PB Wiki because it is one of the most accessible. It's free, and it's one of the easiest wikis software out there to use. It's very popular, and they also, PB Wiki has concentrated on trying to reach the education and library user communities. Some of the uses for wikis in libraries, there's a lot of positive options to when you're using wikis. One of those is access. I think it's one of the most important options and pros for using wikis because, as I said, you don't have to necessarily filter your information through a central webmaster for your library anymore. If you are in the Technical Services Department and you want to put a policy procedure up for anyone to be able to access in your Technical Services Department, you can do so. Just create a wiki and only allow the people that you want to look at it, or you can let the whole world look at it, or you can let, you yourself alone can look at it until you're ready to have anyone else see it. Access is key. You don't have to know HTML. You don't have to know CSS. You can go in and use the WYSIWYG editing, like it says what you see is what you get here. That's, oops, sorry guys. That's what, using the WYSIWYG editing, what you see is what you get, allows you to feel as though you're just typing and formatting content in a word processor. The other tools that Wiki allows you to do is you can track the information that is in there, see what changes, see what isn't changing. You can also use the version control. Wikis allow you to roll back your wiki to an earlier version if, for instance, you've had some incorrect information put on there by someone, or if there had a technical difficulty and something happened that you didn't want, you could just roll it back to an earlier version. An instance also could be if you decided to try to use a new gadget or a new method of formatting and it didn't work out and you couldn't figure out how to get it back to the earlier state, you can use the version control. So those are some pros for using wikis. Wikis also allow libraries to continue their tradition of cooperative sharing. Some of the examples that we have traditionally used, we all do cooperative cataloging, especially here in the WILD system. We have cooperative interlibrary loan practices. We've used consortia to negotiate pricing for databases. We do statewide summer reading programs. So all of that background that we have in being able to share resources and in being able to cooperate to create better services and programs for our users is easily done using wikis. Here are just a few examples of what you can do with a wiki. Other libraries have done a lot of these things, and you can see that if you go into the companion PB Wiki that I created for Get on the Bus. You can see linked to lots of different libraries that have done just this. They have subject pathfinders, they're book review wikis. You can use it as an intranet. We have a good example of an intranet has been made with our own Albany County Public Library. They have an intranet on PB Wiki that they use for some of their procedures. And as an example, I'm using wikis, 2 different wikis for 2 different committees that I'm working with: project planning, collaborative writing, professional conferences. You often will see professional conferences using wikis. The American Libraries Association has used wikis. The American Association of Law Libraries has used wikis. So these are just examples, and it's a big list. It's a lot of different examples, but you could do more. Anything that you can think of, you could probably use a wiki for. This is an example. I have some links here of some popular wiki tools. There are options to use wikis that are hosted online. You can use these wikis without having to download and install any software. You just go in, usually you create an account for yourself, and create the content, add the content, do what you need to do. You can invite people to come in and view your wiki. You can use settings to make your wiki optional, available to anyone for editing, or even available to anyone for just viewing. I have the link here for PBWiki. That's one of the most popular. But you also have SeedWiki, Zoho Wiki, WetPaint. Google Pages is actually called Google Sites now. They keep changing it. And then there's an option for editthis.info. I'm going to go back to the browser here and just briefly show you some of these. This is a page, my PBWiki page. I'm signed in, so this is the page that I see when I sign in. And you can see that right now I have access in PBWiki to the Wyoming Library Association wiki that's been created, and also the Get on the Bus wiki that I created. Just as a side note, before I go any further on PBWiki, I want to make sure that you guys know, for your homework, I have asked that you actually go on to Get on the Bus Wyoming PBWiki and complete your homework on that wiki. When you do so, be aware that under your preferences, if you have check-marked this box about notifications, anytime any person goes into that wiki and edits it, you will get a notification. So you may want to change that if you don't want to know when the other 100 or more people who are participating in this program go in and write their homework. You don't want an email each time they edit the wiki. Maybe you do, and if you do, you can keep the box checked. If you do keep it checked, you have an option also down here with preferences to say you want it to be notified every minute, every 4 hours, or at most once per day. So you have control over that setting. Do whichever you want, but don't forget about it, because otherwise you could be bombarded with a lot of email. Okay, going back to the different wiki software tools, I'm going to show you now. This is the page for SeedWiki. You are allowed to start your own wiki. You can have a free account. It's easy to do. When I tried it, I signed up, just entered an email and password, was able to log in. I'm scrolling down now to show you that they have different features based on whether or not you pay them. You can get a free account, or you can pay once a month to get different options. Usually when you do that, you can get more control over the design of the wiki. You have more space to add content to the wiki. So if you did want to add, for instance, media files, which can take up quite a lot of memory, that may be what you want to consider, is having a paid account that gives you more space. If you pay, you can get your own domain name, whereas if you didn't, you would probably have a name that said seedwiki.com/Katie Jones's wiki or something like that. Zoho Wikis is another option. Zoho Wikis, I have found, is not as intuitive to understand the organization as, for instance, PBWiki. So be aware that even with these different software tools, they have some commonalities, but organization and trying to figure it out to use it, the learning curve may be higher for some than others. As a good instance of having a higher learning curve, this is editthis.info. This wiki uses a very popular software tool called MediaWiki. MediaWiki is the application that Wikipedia is based on. MediaWiki is very powerful. It's a very powerful wiki tool. You can organize and reformat and have all kinds of different options for access and version control, but it is not as easy to understand. If you have someone who has some background in development in the software languages of PHP, that's what MediaWiki uses. And this editthis.info page, it's a free account, and you can use that based on the MediaWiki application. Just know that it can be a little more difficult to understand if you don't know very much about technology or the background of MediaWiki itself. Even for me, who's pretty comfortable with going in and playing around with different technologies and spending some time trying to learn them, I was a little intimidated by using editthis.info and therefore MediaWiki. It was going to take a lot of time for me, and so that's something that you would need to consider when you're choosing which wiki tool you want to use. And then the last one that I want to touch on here is Google Sites. You can see that I am already logged in, and I've created a couple of different wikis in Google Sites. This is a wiki that I'm using to coordinate a presentation that I'm going to be doing with a group of people who are located all over the United States. So we are each able to go in and edit this wiki if we want to, in order to come up with our program presentation without having to send emails back and forth to each other, 20 times a day, and then try to remember which version of whatever it is that we're trying to work on together is correct. Using a wiki, we can just go in and we can see who's part of the program. We can see what kinds of handouts we want to do and how we want to create them. We know what deadlines we have to be able to work with the conference correctly. This is, like I said, just another example of how a wiki can be used, and this is what Google Sites looks like. Let me go back to my presentation again. Now, the other option for using a wiki tool is to install it, download and install a program yourself onto your own web server. That way you have a lot more control. You locally have the control over whether or not to be able to change the way it looks. Sometimes with those free accounts from SeedWiki or PBWiki, you aren't able to go in and change the way the colors are. You can't change the way something is formatted because it's free and there's a limit. If you locally install a program, you have a lot more option to organize and structure the wiki the way that you would like. Again, you can have as much space as you want to give yourself if you download and install the software. You are able to control user management a lot more easily. MediaWiki, as I had lost my mouse, as I talked about before, is one of the most popular tools for local installation. It is free and open source, so you don't have to worry about a cost for the program itself. And then I have a link to editthis.info again, because they base their free online hosting service on the MediaWiki software. There's also PMWiki and TikiWiki. Those are just a couple of other software programs that you can install yourself. Now, when you're trying to decide which software program you want to use, this website, Wiki Matrix, is one that has a wizard and will walk you through some steps to try to decide what wiki software you can use. So you don't have to necessarily go through just the few links that I've provided. You can go in, and Wiki Matrix lists dozens of different software tools that you can go through. You have some questions you can ask yourself here, whether you want it hosted or whether you want to locally install it, if you want version control, if you want the WYSIWYG editor, do you want to be able to add media to your wiki, support for attachments if you want to add PDFs or Word documents or Excel sheets, security authorization. I'm just going to go into Wiki Matrix here real quick. They make it pretty easy. If scrolling down here, you can see on the left column, all of these names are different wiki software tools that you can use. So that's quite a few. Can be kind of intimidating, not sure where to start. What you can do is choose the choice wizard. It will take you through steps where you choose what you need. So I'm just going to quickly go through. I do want history. Yes, I do want the WYSIWYG editor because I don't know anything about HTML. I'm going to say no, I don't need professional support because I know I don't have any budget for this particular project that I want to do. I don't need to change the language, so I'm not going to bother with that right now. And at this point, I just want to play around a little bit, so I'm going to choose an online hosted wiki. I don't want my own domain right now. I'm just going to play around, see if Wiki's going to work for me. Do I need corporate branding? No, I'm not going to choose that right now, but what they're talking about with corporate branding basically means that you can change the colors and the template of how the wiki is organized, the design of the wiki, so that it can match your library website, for instance. You can add your own logo. Some of the wikis allow you to do that, others don't, and I'm not going to worry about it right now. Out of my choices from that wizard, I have an option to use any of these wiki tools. And PBWiki, WetPaint, Zoho Wiki, those are all that I have given you examples of, but then there's all of these others, and you can go in and play with them, look at them, decide which one works best for you. This is an example of how easy it can be to use Wiki Matrix. One of the videos that I have provided a link to goes over Wiki Matrix a little more in depth, so that's another option for you to learn more about Wiki Matrix before you actually go in and have to use it. I want to reiterate that the wiki concept has been based on trust and collaboration. This quote is on a website that is run by one of the creator of wiki software, and I really liked it because it talks about trust as being the most important part of a wiki. You're trusting the process, you're trusting people, you're allowing others to have access to your content. And if you're not really sure that you can open up your wiki to anyone and everyone like Wikipedia has, you don't have to. But know that the original concept of using a wiki has been to allow anyone access. That way you have everyone policing the wiki, you have everyone adding content to the wiki. If there is incorrect information, or if you somehow or another get spammed, you know that there are other people out there who are watching the same information that you are, and they can help you to go in and correct that information. You have the trust that you can cooperate and collaborate with others to provide a good product for your users. Implementing a wiki is really not a whole lot different from implementing any other kind of project that we are familiar with. You have to you have the same basic steps and questions. You have to know what purpose this project is going to be for, so you want to know what purpose your wiki is going to be completed for you, whether it's going to be a library guide for users to be able to find material in the library, or whether it's going to be a policy manual for your library staff to know what the library requires. You need to know your audience, of course, and that will determine also whether you can open up your wiki to everyone and anyone, or if you need to control user access. Wiki platform, that will be one where you want to go over which different wiki software tools you want to use. Wiki Matrix will definitely be helpful in planning that. You also want to structure your wiki. Some of the wiki software allows you more flexibility in structuring your content than others. Definitely, if you're going to have a locally installed program like MediaWiki or PMWiki, you have much more flexibility in how you structure your content than you would maybe if you were using PBWiki. Security is pretty much a staple in most wiki software programs nowadays. You may or may not have problems with spamming. You may or may not have problems with incorrect information. Again, it goes back to how much user access you're allowing. Another option that you need to consider is copyright. Most of these software programs are based on open source, Creative Commons, public domain types of copyright concepts. So you need to know what the copyright is for the software that you choose, and you also need to determine what your content is going to be as far as copyrightable. You can even go as far as having using a concept called copyleft that I just learned about when I was getting ready for this presentation. It's interesting to see the different kinds of copyright options that have come about in the past 10 or 15 years. And I have to admit, yes, I did go to Wikipedia when I was looking up the term copyleft. I had to. It worked. Don't forget when you're doing this that you also want to be able to accommodate for training. This tool, you might be someone who is a little braver than some other library staff. You may be more willing to spend some time learning how to use it. You're the one setting up the wiki. But you will need to provide training for the people that are going to use the wiki if they're not comfortable with this level of technology. And that could be, going back to your audience, it could be your library staff, it could be your library users. You will need to, library staff is probably going to be a must no matter what, because your audience, if you're making it for the library, obviously your library staff will need to use it. But if you're making it open to your library users as well, then anyone on your staff could probably be asked a question on how to use the wiki. And so before you do open it up to library users, be sure that you've considered the needs that your library staff have for training. And then, of course, the last thing you have is maintenance, and I didn't add it in there, but I'm including evaluation. You always have evaluation in any project. Make sure that you go back through and see if it's doing what you thought it was supposed to do or what you want it to do. But you do need to have someone who is keeping track of what's going on with the wiki. If it's a hosted wiki, then you can be sure that that person's going to get any emails about technical difficulties that your host is having. If you have made the wiki open to anyone and everyone, yes, sometimes you will have spamming problems. You will have sometimes incorrect information added, and that person who's in charge of maintenance will need to go in and correct information. These last few slides, I have several questions for you to consider if you are going to start a wiki for your library. They're pretty detailed, and I'm not going to go through each individual question, but when you are considering your homework assignment, or whether you're considering actually using this week as a jump start on doing a definitive program, a definite wiki for your library, these are some great questions for you to ask yourself and be able to answer before you get started. Just a little bit more in-depth than that short little list of implementation questions I had before. For your homework, I have asked that you explore some of the wikis that I listed and the library wikis that I listed. See if you find one in there that has just triggers your imagination, gets you thinking. If you find something that you might be able to do for your library, whether it's an intranet or a reference guide or a book review, it could be anything. And then you can write your reflections on the suggestions page of the wiki that I will go back to at the very end of this presentation, so you have the link for it. The wiki that you would put your suggestions on is also linked from the Get on the Bus website under the Wikis tab. And again, be sure to add your name after your answer so that we know who is answering, and so you can get credit and possibly a prize. The other question that I want you to do is to look at the different Wiki Tools, the software links that I listed for you, and really I'm mostly asking you to look at the online hosted ones, as they're the easiest for you to learn about and to see how they might work. I'm not going to ask you to download and install MediaWiki, because that does require quite a bit of background knowledge on server administration and database tools. So PBWiki, SeedWiki, EditThis.info, Zoho Wikis, Google Sites, any of those, go in. Use Wiki Matrix to help you if you want to really get serious about trying to find a tool that would work for a project that you have in mind. And then just write down what your thoughts are as far as whether or not they would work for you or your library. Again, on the Wiki Applications page, which is on the Wiki website that I created for Get on the Bus. And if you're really motivated, you could just play around with these optional activities, actually going in and creating a wiki that you can play with, inviting other people to edit your wiki, add content, see what that's like, see how easy it is to use it, play around a little bit. That's just optional. You will get plus credit. I can't say that you're going to necessarily get your name added to the prize box more than once, but you'll just be able to be proud of yourself. Oh, and Jamie is just now reminding me that there's a very important part to the homework as well. You will need to actually create an account on PBWiki if you want to do your homework. It will not allow just anyone and everyone to go in there. PBWiki requires a free account before you can go in and add. That's not something that I'm controlling. That is something that PBWiki controls, and it's one of the things that you have to keep in mind when you're looking at using a free account resource. So I have an account, and once you do have a wiki account, a PBWiki account, any wikis that you have access to will show up under this. So they do make it somewhat easy. If you do have to get a PBWiki account, you can go in and play around with any of the wikis that you have access to, not necessarily just that particular Get on the Bus wiki. I hope that made sense. If you have any questions at all, obviously you can contact Jamie at the State Library. Use the email address on the Get on the Bus page, and also feel free to contact me if you need have questions about using wikis. I'm plenty happy to work with you. Jamie's going to deconference the phone now so that we can hear you guys and hear any questions you have.
All conference participants are unmuted. To mute your participants, press 7-7.
All right, this is Jamie, and again, I apologize for the technical difficulties we had at the beginning of the hour. If you are still around, you don't have to watch the archive, but if you missed it, then you're probably watching the archive and hearing this now anyway. But just remember that for next week if we have more technical issues. Are there any questions at this time for Katie about wikis?
I have a question about the homework page. After you go to the first page, you hit homework, and then I tried to press Wikis on that first sentence, and it said log in to get on the bus, wyoming.pbwiki.com.
That's right. And as Katie just said, up in the upper right-hand corner, you're going to
I am a member.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I have a free account.
Oh, okay. Well, then...
It says I need to contact the wiki owner.
Well, we will look into that, and we'll have that fixed by this afternoon.
Yes, I will.
Okay.
Sorry about that.
That's okay.
Any other questions that we have so far?
Could Katie put her contact information up there again, please?
Sure. Actually, the contact information for everybody involved in this program throughout the whole program is going to be get on the bus at will.state.wy.us, and that email address is on the bottom of every page of the program website. And if you send an email to that about wikis this week, we'll make sure Katie answers it. If it's blogs next week, Laura will answer it, and I'll be watching the whole thing to make sure you get your answer.
Thanks, Jamie. That was great. Thank you, Katie.
Thanks, Sarah.
Thank you.
Do we have any other questions? Okay, well, hearing no questions, I'm going to go ahead and let you go. But I thank you for joining us, and we'll see you next week for blogs. And again, get your homework in, and we'll give out prizes. The more people who participate, the more prizes I'm going to give out. Everybody have a wonderful day.